I don't know whether I have mentioned it before or not. When we are talking about acting, there are different kinds of acting, different ways you can do acting. And about the process, you can go for different processes. But when you really want to be a good actor, you have the material, you are going for the material, you are going for the process, and you are giving your best, you are putting your effort, and you want the audience to get entertained in terms of the story, in terms of the emotions, in terms of the performance, because you are telling a story, you are part of telling a story. And there are other people who can take bits and pieces from that acting, they try to imitate, they can do this and that, and they are stuck in that only. So they are not going beyond that, rather they are trying to be like them, they are trying to imitate some gestures, they are trying to feel the emotion. That is even requiring some effort. They don't do that, but just by looking at someone, if you can imitate the gesture, just by looking at someone, if you can be like them, or if you can write a character like them, there are things like that. But here what we are talking about is, many people already understand that we have inspiration, we can write, we have a script, we have the material, and when the actors are coming, from the casting to the end of the process, editing, and afterwards post-production, all the other things, taking it to the marketplace, we are totally involved in the project, and as a director, as the creative leader, you are taking charge of everything, you are supervising all these things, and many people are helping you in this. But in terms of acting, when we are talking about acting, sometimes many people don't understand. It depends on the culture, definitely, because in many cultures people look at acting in different ways. But I think I have mentioned it before, but before I start to talk about acting, I will mention it once more. In different cultures, maybe we can have different types of acting, but you will see that it is evoking some emotion, aesthetics, it is evoking some emotion, and it is telling a story. Maybe their approach is different, and we enjoy that too. Asian culture, they are having some techniques of their own, their cultural artifacts, their whatever they have in their culture, their own way of staging a drama, giving a performance, costume design, makeup, and all these things. When we look at the European culture, we are having different amalgamation of different cultures. So Spanish culture, French culture, German culture, then we have other cultures as well. British, they talk about acting a lot, and they have really researched, and if you go for Shakespeare, you will understand what tragedy, comedy, drama, what it means. So we don't need to mention that. But what we are talking about is the respect for the craft, the respect for the art, the respect for the profession. And in theater, you are getting a lot of opportunities. Acting is taking like a major place, and it is very significant, and you can do a lot more. Many people are saying, when it comes to cinema, the scope is limited, we cannot do more. But if you understand great storytelling, you will understand maybe we are not doing that much what we are doing in the theater, but we have the cinematic medium, and we can tell the story in that way with a good director, and with a good director and good actors. What you can do is you can come up with great performances. Sometimes you can go for many takes, sometimes you can go for few takes, sometimes you can go for only one take. But what you are working on is your emotions, your aesthetics, the way you are giving a performance, the way you are understanding the roles, the way you are understanding the characters, the interaction between the characters, the interaction among the characters, how it is getting staged, how the camera is capturing the characters, how the camera is capturing the performers, how we are doing staging and blocking, how we are breaking the rules or following the rules, how we are putting the characters or the performers in one place, how they are moving, how we are designing the frame, how we are doing the movement of the camera. All these things are happening, but you are focusing on your acting as an actor. but all these things are happening, and the director is always concerned, and a script supervisor helps. A script supervisor can help you whenever you have a script, and a script supervisor can really help a director, whether it is going at par with what is intended in the script. If we are missing out something, or if we need to do something more, it can help. But you will see that in the earlier days, we didn't have these different kinds of professions, or the names of the professions. This is this, this is this, this is the job you are supposed to do, this is the job you can do. You will see that. So maybe the director was writing, the director was directing, writer director together, and sometimes the director was acting too. We have seen these movies. Chaplin is one great example, but there are many directors like that. Mel Gibson is one great example, and there are so many other directors. If you look at Hitchcock used to give guest appearance, but if you look at his direction, you will see how you can create, that suspense, the thrill, and the drama, and the tension, how he can create it. And there are so many other directors I can name, but what happens is, we can create a lot more jobs, we can create a lot more professions, but you have to understand the basics. When you go to the basics, because when I talk about cinema, sometimes we can just introspect and we can go to the basics. Suppose we are figuring out a problem, we are looking at a problem, we want to find a solution of the problem, and what we can do is, we can introspect and we can go to the basics. Maybe we can take a step back and we can go to the basics, and you will see that ultimately you are needing a script, a director is directing it, actors are working, crew, cast and crew, we are doing together, cinematographer, set designer, costume designer, makeup, hairstyle, and all these people, we are coming together and making a movie. But maybe for these new professions or these new jobs, maybe one thing one person was doing, but nowadays maybe another person is doing that particular job and one person is supervising that. Obviously you can delegate, you are sharing the load of the job, that's okay. But you have to understand, just because this new profession is getting created, that doesn't mean that it is diluting the significance of the movie. That is one thing I wanted to say, because ultimately it is that storytelling, ultimately it is the emotion you are evoking. And what happens is, I want to mention one thing. We talk about say this is happening to cinema, what happened to cinema, what will happen to cinema. I think cinema is here to stay, but we have a big responsibility. We have a big responsibility because it can evolve, it can find different ways, digital technology, advanced technologies that can come, but ultimately it will come to storytelling, the emotions, storytelling, performances. So you cannot disregard that. So the technologies will come, different things will come, this will happen, that will happen, but we can take all these things into account and we can tell a story. We can tell an innovative story too, which is not like the usual linear story or the usual 3-act structure. Maybe it is not like that. So Jean-Luc Godard used to say the begin, middle and end a story, but not necessarily in the same sequence, so things like that, nuggets of wisdom, little things sometimes you keep in mind, and sometimes maybe you are writing a script, sometimes maybe you are giving a performance and you remember all these things. That person said, yeah, I can feel the same, while working on it. That's why what we are talking about here is that involvement. When you are getting involved in the process, you can come up with a lot of things. Then you can share your own wisdom, you can share your own experience, maybe through a book, maybe through a lecture, maybe through a discussion, maybe through a talk, maybe through a seminar you are doing, whatever you are doing. You can share all these things with the next generation, with the professionals, with people, because this is something we should do more often. What I have figured out is, many people are figuring out acting, how to be an actor, how to do acting, how we can become a great actor, but they don't look at the basics. They think that we have these books, this man wrote this book, these are the names we have heard of, this is Stanislavski we have heard of, Meissner we have heard of, Robert Louis we have heard of, Strasbourg we have heard of, method, oh, you are doing method acting, oh, that's a great thing. But what it means when you are giving a performance, that involvement, how involved you are in the process, how you are understanding the thing. Because you have to understand, when Stanislavski created the system, from that many people came from that system. Many people came and they figured out their own ways and they created their own, pedagogy, paradigm, whatever you call it. Suddenly, why we are not making enough of that? Because we are not digging deeper, we are not delving deep into the process, delving deep into the the discipline of acting, or the science of acting, or the profession of acting. We are not delving deep into that. The more we do that, you will see maybe they have talked about it, maybe we can figure out few more things. That is there, we can always follow that, we can respect that, that is there. But maybe in the current context, in the modern context, or in the this contemporary situation, we can provide something more based on the situation, based on the experience, based on things happening around us. We can provide something more. So that's why here when we talk about acting, it is not just this imitation of this and this bits and pieces. That person did that role in that movie, we are just imitating, we are just taking bits and pieces so that people can in a way relate to those things. We are not talking about that. We are telling a story, great story. That is a part of it, but that is not the only thing we are stuck with. Because the more you are into all these things, the more we are involved in acting as a process. Because sometimes, when I mention an actor can become a cinematographer, an actor can become a director, a cinematographer can become an actor, a cinematographer can become a director. One person from another job can go to another job in the film industry. But continuously you are thinking about movies. Constantly you are thinking about movies, how you are going to tell a story, how you are going to capture that thing, how you are going to give the performance, how you are going to direct the cast and crew. So when you are always in that, how you are going to write a script in the first place. Maybe you were an actor, suddenly you want to write a script. So you are writing a script, then eventually you can become a director too. But it is getting involved in the process. Why? Because we love cinema. When we really love cinema, we can figure out a way, how we can contribute. Sometimes some person is doing a job, we can share our opinion with that person, and that person will be very happy to see a different perspective, a different point of view. But that happens when we are really involved in that process. That is the involvement we talk about in this Hok Aloron. When we talk about acting or whatever we talk about, here we are talking about mainly acting, but this is the thing. And people, this industry is filled with gossip, because gossip is fueling the industry. Entertainment industry is a lot about gossip, in fact. Paparazzi, gossip and all these things. But what I can say is that cannot dilute a great director. That cannot dilute a great performance. That will be there. So managing that and giving a great performance in spite of that, that is something we can learn. That is something any actor can learn, or any person can learn, because these things we need to learn. Otherwise, people will find a way to gossip, people will find a way to criticize in a bad way or in different ways. They can do that, but what can shape us is the constructive criticism as a performer, as an actor, as a director, because it is helping, it is adding value, to the performance, it is adding value to the direction we are giving, it is adding value to whatever we are doing during that filmmaking process. So if that happens, then we are eager to listen to. If that happens, we can give some importance to that. Otherwise, sometimes we can just ignore it, we can just disregard that if there is nothing much. But what happens is, there is a juice in that gossip, there is a juice in that politics, there is a juice in that gossip and politics. So sometimes, many great people get stuck in that. Many great people get, sometimes, as I say, just because they are not seeing enough great examples around them, or maybe someone to talk to in an open way, because they can share a lot of things, because very few people you can trust sometimes. It can be that bad. So maybe you cannot talk to more people, you are not having that community. There can be things like that. So that politics, that those games, or that gossip can actually take you away from cinema. Sometimes you are getting away from cinema. It can make you pessimistic about cinema. But if you do that, you have to go to the basics again. Why you started, the movies you made, how you made them, why you wanted to make them, and how great a filmmaker you used to be. Then in the modern context, how you can contribute more. Because I firmly believe in filmmaking, when you actually choose the profession you really love. To me, at least to me, when you really choose the profession you really love, there is no retirement. We can always evolve, we can always learn, we can always get better, we can always find a new way of telling a story, a new way of giving a performance. Maybe we are not repeating the same way of storytelling, we are telling a different story altogether. We are figuring out a different way of telling the story. We can do all these things. But what we can do is, sometimes we can introspect. We still have some friends, maybe somewhere in the world, who can tell something, and you can be yourself again. So we can find these friends, and it's luck. We are lucky if we get those people, but otherwise, the best way is to help yourself. So if you can figure out a way that, in spite of those circumstances or whatever has happened, you can still come back and give a great performance, and there is no retirement, so you can give. The best is yet to come. It is like that, the best is yet to come. So whatever you are making, that can be much better than what you have given so far. So that is a good paradigm to have, and that is something I want to end it with.